How AI is transforming work at Anthropic. That's an article by Anthropic that was published yesterday. So yes, I guess it's Anthropic weeks. I created a video about them acquiring Bun yesterday, talking about the implications of that. And now they published this article. But I found this article quite interesting because it talks about the impact of AI on software engineering. And since you and me probably are software developers, that might give us a glimpse into the future, because obviously the software engineers working at Anthropic are at the forefront of AI adoption, you would guess. So it might contain some interesting insights. It's a rather long article. I read it entirely. Yes, I read it, not AI. And I want to share my key findings. I also created a summary graphic with my site, buildmygraphic.com, where you can, for example, just paste in a URL and then pick an art style and create an infographic and configure it. But we'll also dive into the actual article. But in that graphic, we can already see one key finding or takeaway, if you want to call it like this. They report, the Anthropic engineers, that AI gave them a huge productivity boost, a 50% productivity boost, though I will say that's kind of a difficult metric. It's self-reported and it's easy to misjudge. You can definitely also feel more productive than actually being more productive when using AI, just because it gives you that nice feeling of delegating work and seeing work getting done. But then you may spend a lot of time reviewing that work and still it might feel more productive than if you would have written the code yourself. So it's a difficult metric. Overall, though, if you take a look at all these statistics on this graphic, though, you clearly see that AI seems to give these Anthropic engineers a huge productivity boost. It also shows that AI tools, or Claude Code, for example, simply got better, that it's now able to do more consecutive tool calls. So instead of doing some work and then stopping and requiring more input, it's now able to work on its own a bit longer. There's less human input needed, which is a good or bad news, depending on how you look at it. It also is able, so AI in general, is able to get more complex tasks done on a 1 to 5 scale, where 5 rated tasks are very complex. AI is now able to get a bit closer to that 5. Though, again, keep in mind, that is all judged and rated by these Anthropic employees. So, it's not a super big study across dozens of companies or anything like that. But let's dive into the actual article, shall we? And in the key findings, we can see that the Anthropic engineers and researchers that were used in that study, by the way, overall, they interviewed or surveyed 132 engineers and researchers. So a relatively small sample size, if you will. But those mostly used Claude, not just Claude Code, but the Claude AI in general, for fixing code errors and learning about the code base. Though, as we'll also see, and as we also saw already in the graphic, they also got a bit closer to that goal of letting AI also do more complex tasks. So there has been an improvement over the last year or the last months. People report increasing Claude usage and productivity gains. So here's that 50% productivity boost that's reported by the employees. Also very interesting is that those surveyed employees reported that 27% of the Claude-assisted work wouldn't have done at all if they didn't have AI assistance. I also got that on that graphic, by the way. It's this new work. And the new work we're talking about here is something like building some internal utility tool, writing documentation. As you can see here, doing some extra testing or exploratory work. So this is simply work that wouldn't have the priority to be done if there weren't help, if there weren't AI specifically, but that does get, or that is getting done now with AI available. Most employees use Claude frequently while reporting they can fully delegate 0 to 20% of their work to it. So some don't delegate at all, but some do delegate a significant amount of their work to Claude. And that's also my personal experience to give you some insights into that. All these findings are nice, but personally, I'm as you probably know from some other videos or episodes, I'm also a heavy user of AI. I really embrace that technology. I'm not afraid of it. I like the assistance I can get from AI. And I also noticed that over the last, let's say, half a year or so, I've been offloading more and more tasks to AI. To some degree, because I got better at prompting, at providing the right context, at making my tasks very specific and isolated, because that's important. You don't want to tell an AI to build an app that allows me to track daily challenges. Instead, you want to give it small, isolated tasks. And that, combined with the fact that the models get better and, very important, the tooling got better, the tooling that wraps those models, like Claude Code or Cursor, because they're doing a lot of behind-the-scenes wiring. Just as my site here, by the way, does a lot of behind-the-scenes wiring. We're using Google Nano Banana Pro here behind the scenes, but we're doing a lot of prompt engineering and wiring to make the experience of working with it more pleasant. So that's exactly what Cursor and Claude Code also do with those AI models they're using behind the scenes. And the combination of all these things getting better, so me getting better, models getting better, tools getting better, definitely led to me being able to offload more work to AI. Now, does that mean that that I feel redundant? Not at all. I'm simply able to get more done. And I still step in whenever something's getting too complex. I still have AI frequently make mistakes. I frequently have to correct it. I'm frequently not happy with the results, and I have to, well, step in manually, tweak it, or give the AI some instructions to go into another direction, or to use a certain pattern or anything like that. But clearly, I'm able to offload more work to AI. I also do use AI to chat about my code base, to ask questions. Not so much understanding questions, because it's my code base, but for example, questions like, what's your take on this? Are there any potential issues I'm missing here? How could we improve the performance of a certain approach? So I don't want AI to go ahead and implement something. I want to get some feedback. And I find that very valuable. Obviously, you always want to take it with some extra caution, because it's not perfect. It's just tokens being generated. You must not forget this. But still, it's some extra feedback you can collect, some extra help you can use. And I can only encourage everybody to use that help. So yeah, I can kind of confirm these findings here. By the way, also this one here about the extra work being done. Definitely, if you just need a tool that does something and you don't care about whether the code quality is perfect, or if it's maybe not covering all possible edge cases or everything that could go wrong, very often that might not matter if you just need some utility script that does something, and if it fails, you just run it again. These are perfect tasks for vibe coding, or for just using some instructions and letting the AI do its work. And that is definitely something I would probably not do myself without AI, because it's not important enough, often enough, but where AI can definitely help. What I also can confirm is this point here. Employees are developing intuitions for AI delegations. That is exactly what I described, that you get a better feeling for what you can delegate and how you need to steer and control AI to get good results. So that is definitely also what I saw. Now, what is important, though, is this point here, where one employee said, when producing output is so easy and fast, it gets harder and harder to actually take the time to learn something. And I've talked about this in other videos too. It's a big point, a big problem in my opinion. Because obviously, in the end, we want to ship code, we want to build products, we want to get stuff done. But if you just let AI do it, and you don't understand what it does, and you're not able to step in and fix mistakes, or increase the quality of the code base, or detect performance or security issues or other potential bugs, that's a problem. That is a problem, because that is only a valid approach in a world where AI is perfect. And we're not even close to that world yet. Not even close, just to be super clear. So it is a perfect world right now, in my opinion, for software developers that have some experience, that know how to write code, that know about potential problems to watch out for, It's perfect if you then use AI because you can get the best of both worlds. You can offload some tasks, offload some work, have multiple AI agents or Claude Code sessions run in parallel, and then step in, review the code, write the harder parts yourself with tab completion by cursor. It's really amazing. You can be super productive there. If you don't know what you're doing, not so good. Not so good. And of course, when using AI, there is a huge danger of just seeing, hey, okay, that works, I'll accept it, I'm fine, and you move on. And you don't understand what happened there. You did not learn it. And you want to learn it because otherwise, your skill set is the skill set of the AI, or your skill level is the skill level of the AI. And that does make you redundant. I've said it before, I'll say it again. With AI, you want to go deep. You want to build that deep understanding of what's going on. And it's never been easier in theory. You can ask AI, you can use AI as an assistant for learning. You can watch a tutorial, read an article, and use AI to ask follow-up questions and get practices or have AI judge your work. You can use it as a learning partner, as a mentor almost, but you have to do that. And I'm afraid many people don't do it. I've myself fallen into the trap of just accepting some AI results without fully understanding what was going on. And I've always paid the price. I had to go back. I had to spend way more time then diving into a code base, which I haven't taken a closer look at for a week or so, just to be able to fix some problems. So yeah, that is a huge problem. And the atrophy of deeper skill sets, so your skill set declining, you losing your skill, because I've said it before too, use it or lose it. That is a real danger I see, and I really want to stress this because this is one of the biggest dangers we're facing right now, I'd say. You can lose your job, or you'll have problems getting a job if you're not better than AI. It's that simple. I would not hire you if you are not better than AI, because why would I? AI costs me $200 a month. Why would I hire you? So that is definitely something they observed, and that is something I can 150% relate to. Now, there are some other points like this one here, which I also found interesting, that some engineers embrace AI assistance and focus on outcomes, where one engineer said, I thought that I really enjoyed writing code, and I think I instead actually just enjoy what I get out of writing code, so the product in the end. Whereas others said, there are certainly some parts of writing code that I miss, and here I have to say, AI is here, and I like the productivity boost I can get out of it. I like also the fact that I can build more stuff. But if we wouldn't have AI, I would not be sad. I'll be honest, I would not be sad because I really genuinely like learning. I like being competent, and I like writing code. And there's less of that now. There is less of that. I still write a lot of code. I still learn a lot. But of course, I offload more work to AI, and that flow you can get into when you're just heads down writing code for an entire day, that's just not there with AI. That's just not there. Sure, you can just not use AI and still have it, but at the end of the day, I want to get stuff done, and that kind of feels wrong to not use a tool where I know it can make me more productive. But yeah, as I said, if AI wouldn't be there, I definitely wouldn't be sad because I like that heads down writing code mode. And I know not everybody does that, and that is perfectly fine. But for me, I can relate to this part and not so much to the first part here, I guess. Now, also interesting is this part here, where people report less social interactions because instead of asking a colleague, you can just ask AI for feedback or how to solve a certain problem. And that's not so much a problem for me because I don't work in a huge team anyways. But I definitely feel like this might be a big problem because we are social entities. We really need that social interaction. There's so much more you can get out of social interaction than just an answer or just a solution to a problem. Sometimes, I'm sure we all had that, sometimes you come to a colleague with a certain problem and you go away not just with a solution to that problem, but with a brand new way of thinking about getting to that solution or thinking about that problem or a brand new approach in general. Maybe you weren't really looking for a solution to a problem, but for a way different approach in the first place. And that these results, which you can get from human interaction, from experienced colleagues, yeah, even if we leave aside the social aspect, which also matters a lot, I think that's something that really is missing with AI. Because right now, in my experience, if you ask AI for a solution to a problem, you get a solution. It may be wrong, it may be hallucinated. That's also worth noting. But I rarely get answers like, well, you could solve it like this, but have you thought of doing it in a totally different way? Maybe that changes in the future, not so much right now. So yeah, that is definitely a problem I see. And of course, that's the big one, career evolution and uncertainty, where, of course, yeah, people are afraid of AI replacing them. I feel optimistic in the short term, but in the long term, I think AI will end up doing everything and make me and many others irrelevant. Obviously, that's something I read a lot in the comments. A lot of people are afraid of that, and nobody can look into the future, obviously. But I've also said that before. We're not even close to that world right now. Nobody knows what will be the case in 10, 20, or 30 years. And that has been true 20 years ago too, by the way. But I don't see AI doing everything. It's way too complex for that. And there's way too much value humans can generate, especially in conjunction with AI. And if you believe in a world where AI will do everything. And I'm not just talking about software development then, because obviously if AI can write all the code in the world, error-free, and also keep all these systems up and running, keep the servers up and running. If AI can do all of that, then it can probably also do all the stuff lawyers and accountants do, and so many other jobs. And that's such a different world. You don't need to worry about that, because that world would not be comparable to today's world in any way or shape. But history has shown us, I guess, that drastic changes happen all the time, but not within 1 year. But over longer time spans, new jobs will emerge. And I don't see a future where we have robots and AI do everything and humans doing nothing. Sure, you can believe in that. I'm totally not on board with that. And by the way, it wouldn't be my world. I would always do something because, shocking, I like working. I like challenges. I like solving problems. And if AI can help me with that, I'll happily use it. I don't see it replacing developers or humans in jobs in general anytime soon. Now, we're just at the beginning of the article, but of course, this here was the summary, which I also have, of course, on this graphic. But one part of the article I wanna take a closer look at is this AI delegation approaches section here, where they in the end list use cases or responses by the people surveyed about when they use AI or when they offload work to AI. I also got that on that graphic here, of course, here in the delegation strategy box, that of course the tasks that are offloaded the most are the ones that are easy to verify. Obviously, I mean, if it's easy for you to judge whether a result is good or bad, then offloading it is easy, right? Low stakes, if the impact is not too big, well, self-explanatory too. And repetitive, because if you're doing something over and over again, of course you're happy if you don't have to do it anymore. Humans have always been like this. And that's in the end what we got here in this box. And I would kind of agree with that, but also take it a step further. I really like delegating work for tasks where I have a clear plan of how the end result should look like. Now, it's not necessarily easily verifiable. It might take me a significant amount of time to judge the result, to judge the code quality, to do a code review. But if I have a clear plan of what I want, then of course I can still verify it. And if then, and that's important, the feature is complex enough that writing the code on my own would take me longer than offloading it, that's something else I like to delegate. So complex tasks where I have a clear plan and where I therefore can then review the code, even if it's not trivial to review the code. That's another area where I really like to offload. And these are, in the end, the main takeaways I got from this article and my opinion on these takeaways or how AI affects my work. Now, I'm super interested in hearing how it affects your work and what your thoughts are, where you agree or disagree, and yeah, in general, what you see for the future of software development with AI being there and AI obviously becoming better and better as it seems.